So hello and welcome to my new app, my Research AI agent, that is successfully deployed with the frontend in Vercel and the backend in Railway. Let's see a little bit about the architecture. The frontend is built with React, Next.js, and TypeScript. The backend is built with FastAPI, and the agent is powered by LangGraph. And this agent has access to three tools, mainly Tabili, Archive, and YouTube for web search, academic search, and video search. And we have also a helpfulness node, toolnode, that compares the query with the generated response, and if the score is greater, because I have defined it that way, is greater to 0.3, we can go to the final state. If not, we go again to the responder and regenerate the response. So looking at the workflow, we set the entry point at the analyzer that dynamically looks at the intent of the query and decides if it needs to use tools or if it gives a direct response. If tools are needed, we go to the tool caller that fills the state with the new context, and then we go to the responder that generates the response. Then we go to the helpfulness checker that has the functionality I just have described. And if the response is helpful, we finish the graph. Let's look a little bit at the code. Let's go to the source folder. Here we have our tools, the archive, the helpfulness checker, the Tabili, and the YouTube search. If we look at archive, we have defined our tools as classes, and they follow the LangChain schema. Here we provide the method getTool. Let's look at the helpfulness checker. How does it work? We evaluate whether the response is helpful to the query by giving this prompt. Then we can go to the agents folder where we have our LangGraph agent. As always, we do our imports. We define the agent state with the fields that need to be populated to register the current state. Here we have our class, our agent, which, well, we instantiate the keys, the API keys, our model, which is GPT-o3. I have chose this model because it's a really powerful thinking model and really useful when we need complex tasks as deciding intent or routing. Here we define our tools, and here we build the graph that I have just described. We have the entry point, which is the analyzer. We have the conditional edges. With this method that I defined below, should use tools. If use tools, we go to the tool caller. If not, we go to respond directly. And here we have the other conditional edge, which routes if we surpass the score that we have defined, we go to finish. If not, we go to respond. Here, let's look at the analyze query. How do we analyze the intent? Well, we give this prompt to the LLM that decides whether it should populate the state with needs web search, needs archive, needs YouTube. Then we have the should use tools method that, based on the state, returns use tools or direct response. Then we go to the call tools that executes the relevant tools based on the analysis made by the analyzer. Here we have the generate response node that, obviously based on the context and the fields that we have populated, generates the response. Here we have the check helpfulness that checks whether the response is helpful for the query. Should regenerate, that is based on the score that check helpfulness has given. And here, what is important is that we have an iteration count because, as we know, agents are LLMs with tools, and they can cycle infinitely if a condition to stop is not met. So, okay, we have seen a little bit of the code. Next, let's go live and try the application. Here we have it, my Research AI agent, with the available tools, the web search, the archive research, and the YouTube search. And as always, what we are going to do is to set our API keys. We set the API keys, and we are ready. We can start researching and getting responses. So we are going to ask him to tell me all the recent information about AI agent trends. And as we want also to have some tutorials to pair with these trends, we are going to make sure that it uses the YouTube search. So also add tutorials that help me learn how to implement the techniques you find. So as I have previously said, we are using O3. This model is really slow at thinking, but I think that it's useful because of these complex decisions the model has to make about the intent of the query, how to route, if it has to give a direct response or it has to use tools, and also about the helpfulness, if the response is really helpful to the query or not. So as we can see, it's still processing the request, and we just need to be here for a little bit, and here we have the response. As we can see, the response is well rendered with fonts, with the correct font. Here we have it, and here we have the tutorials that pair with our response with this, which is really awesome. Also, another thing I wanted to point out is that I have built this application to also give the sources, all the sources that the agent has used, and we have it also on this panel, so we can consult these sources if we needed to give also another layer of explainability to our agent. So thank you so much for having here with me through this demo, and I hope you have enjoyed, and see you next time. Bye bye.